My name's Jane Syme. I am part of the Solent Growth Partnership. We are delivering a series of online sessions as part of our Solent Digital Solutions program. And this morning's session is all about introducing small businesses to AI. We are very aware that lots of small businesses have low confidence when it comes to adopting new technologies, and AI has brought with it a whole host of options, which we know a lot of businesses feel an element of fear around and sort of alienation by lots of technical language and things like that. So what we'd like to do today is to hopefully make you feel a little bit more confident in trying out a few new tools, and really understanding how beneficial AI, and these kinds of digital tools can be for your business, your efficiency, your productivity. And we're really, really grateful to be joined today by Alexander Coles. I'll leave
Right.
Alex to introduce himself properly, but we're really grateful to Alex to join us as an AI expert, who has experience in supporting small businesses with exactly this kind of thing. So, without further ado, I will pass over to Alex, and hope everybody enjoys the session and finds it useful.
Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. Yeah, it's great to be here. So, obviously, in this session today, we're going to be covering the topic of AI for particularly smaller businesses. And I think a lot of the content that I'm sharing here, while some of it might be familiar, I'm a betting man that you are going to learn a lot from this session because I do cover things that I use in my business and I've seen work well in other businesses because I do think there's a bit of misinformation out there. So it's important that we clarify that for everyone that's attending. And a bit of background regarding myself. So I run this software development agency. So we build out AI systems for small businesses. I'm also a co-founder of an edutech company. So we're bringing technology into education and we're working with private schools in the UK. We're also a member of Innovate UK. So it's a big opportunity to make an impact to a lot of students and an area that I'm passionate about. I'm also a mentor for Digital Boost. So that's one of the reasons why I'm here today. And I'm also a mentor on the Help to Grow business program, which maybe some of you have already done or you're part of. So don't be afraid to say hi to me. Okay, so what are we covering today? So first off, we're going to understand AI in greater depth, what it's capable of, the benefits of where and why you should integrate it. And in particular, what I'm going to be talking about is not just high level concepts, but it's actual use cases. So, because I think that's the common thing is whilst a lot of businesses out there are aware of AI and they're aware they should do something with it, what I do notice is people don't really know how or where in particular they can bring it as a use case in their business. And that's the missing puzzle piece. And really, I'm going to give you examples of how it's working right now through case studies of marketing, customer service, and supply chain management. Right. So I think the first thing is we need to set the context. So what's going on right now globally and what's going on in the UK? Because business, after all, is competitive, right? We're competing against different companies. So when we look at the enterprise level, in terms of the UK, we're actually lagging behind here. And this is a bit of a conundrum, you could say, because when it comes to academic research in AI, we're number 3 in the world. But when it comes to actually investing in it, we're behind Germany and we're around 10th or something like that. Another thing for small businesses, so only 22% of small businesses understand how best to integrate AI into their operations. So from this webinar today, I'm going to get all of you over that finishing line. So you're part of that 22%. And by being part of that 22%, you're going to have a competitive advantage because you'll find ways to operate more efficiently or increase your revenue. And another stat about this, and by the way, these stats came from the FSB, Federation of Small Businesses, and some other data that I referenced. So a third of UK businesses are currently using AI or considering its implementation. And then if we just look at what the US is doing, so you've got the kind of 95% of the biggest companies in the world which are already using AI. So I think it's important that we think of ways that we can incorporate AI so we remain competitive. Now, a nice way to kind of think about sales and marketing, I'm sure a lot of you have seen this before, is the sales funnel. Right? So as far as I'm aware, a lot of the information I've seen out there regarding AI is only kind of really talking about creating content or recording meeting notes or even using ChatGPT. And I'm not saying that those things aren't a good use case, but in today's session, what I'm going to be covering more of is how we can actually use AI as a lead qualification mechanism, how we can use it to help us schedule demos and meetings. These two functions here of the sales funnel relating to negotiation and closing a deal, I'll be honest with you, AI can't do that. A human should always do that. So that's where a human isn't, I don't think, ever going to be replaced. However, there is a value of where AI can help you with these things in your business, and including a lead generation as well. So you've got like top of the funnel and bottom of the funnel. Okay, so let's get into it. Feel free, you can take a picture of this, save it later for notes. This is a very like crude example of how people tend to use AI. When I mean AI, I'm talking about ChatGPT here. Okay, so obviously, like a really bad prompt to put into ChatGPT would be something very basic, not giving it context. The answer you're going to get is kind of useless. You could give it more detail, so you can provide your industry that you're in. You can tell how many words you want it. The response you're going to get is better, but I would still say that this is not usable in any way. So really the key is all about providing context, okay? So for example, in this prompt here, I'm the founder of, for example, Botlib.ai. Provide me with a go-to-market strategy following my competitor, and I can list a competitor out there or a link to the website. I want only 750 words with bullet points in the tone of an experienced market researcher. I found this example, whatever that is, great. Follow it. The kind of data analysis I'm going to get off that prompt is superior to any of this. And it's something that you might find useful in your business operations. So there is a kind of way to talk to the AI. And basically there you've got two strategies. So you've got two ways of going about it, okay? Now we're all different. Some of us are very like mathematical, logical. Others of us are quite creative and abstract. So I think if you're a logical person, then this formula will be incredibly valuable whenever you want to talk to ChatGPT or any kind of like language model such as Claude, Gemini, Perplexity, DeepSeek. Right? So if you follow this formula, you're going to get a very good answer from the AI. The alternative, if you don't want to follow a formula, is you should just imagine that when you're talking to the AI, it's like you're playing tennis. You're kind of having a debate with each other. And if the answer it gives you, you think it's kind of rubbish, don't be afraid. Say like, this answer is bad. What I'm referring to is blah, 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 blah. And eventually you're going to get something after a lot of back and forth, like playing tennis, something that is useful. Okay, so really, what's the value of AI? So obviously we've covered kind of the ChatGPT stuff. but there's a whole lot more. And going back to that analogy of the sales funnel, you can use it to generate leads, qualify leads. You can use it to automate, but that doesn't mean automate everything. You can use it as a mechanism to distribute knowledge. And this is why lawyers in particular are quite afraid of AI. Because if you think about it, a lawyer can charge a lot of money because there's very few people that have that expertise in law. So I'm not saying AI is going to replace lawyers here, but what I'm trying to say is like, let's say if there's certain questions that maybe a solicitor gets every day, which frankly people could find out for themselves, then you could use AI as a mechanism to help for the customer service. So their time isn't taken by lower value questions. Okay. You can also treat it as an analytical partner. Again, going back to the reference of using different prompts, you can upload documents and things to ChatGPT, and you can ask it for particular references or texts, and it will do a really good job of that. And of course, improve your operations. So I just want to get this out of the way. So AI is definitely not going to replace you. And this is going to go a little bit deep, but basically, human consciousness has a component of it which is random. The best business ideas that have come about have been when people have been having dreams. And indeed, if people have gone through hardship in their life or challenges, that's inspired them to come up with creative solutions. AI cannot do that, right? And the reason why I put but is because I think the only threat of where AI could replace someone's business, it's because your competitor is offering something that is more efficient and that allows them to service a wider range of customers than you. So I think that's the only kind of danger. But in terms of pure creativity and genius, no, it will never replace people. Again, it's not there to automate everything. And there's also always this kind of thing talked about in the media about AGI. So there's going to be this like Terminator kind of AI that will know everything and it will be able to create all the new ideas. I really don't think that's going to be possible. Again, going back to that reason I gave you, which is there is something that makes us human. We don't fully understand what human consciousness is. So how can we possibly create something that is like us? It makes zero sense. But that's not to say that you're going to have American kind of, sorry if there's any Americans here, I work with American business partners, but I know from the US in particular with OpenAI, sometimes these CEOs, they like to talk things up and they say, oh, we're going to have AGI next year, blah, blah, blah. No. And YouTube promoters, be careful because obviously people are selling things through affiliate links and they'll be claiming that it can do a lot of things when in reality it does far less. Okay, so what is an AI chatbot? Well, you've got these common names out there, such as Perplexity, Claude, Gemini, something called GPTs. I would regard these as personal assistants. They're good because, like, for example, on my phone right now, I've got a Google Pixel phone. I can press a button at the side, and whilst I'm looking at something, I can use their Gemini AI to give me like another detailed analogy on something. Or like, for example, I'm studying finance right now, okay? So there's certain concepts that are very foreign to me. So I can use this as a mechanism to improve my learning. You've got tools for everyone as well. So Perplexity AI and U.com, they're kind of a platform where they bring together many of these different AI chatbots like ChatGPT, Claude, etc., into one place. Crisp, not kidding you, I've been using this for 3 years before AI became a buzzword. I've used it when I've been in noisy airports traveling. I used it for interviews before, basically, or even my dog. My dog's sleeping right now. She's looking very adorable. She's giving me calming vibes. But uh, she can be noisy when the postman comes to the door. So this tool, Crisp, has been very valuable because it's trained on my voice and it cuts out all the background noise. Otter, uh, probably a lot of you are using this already. It's for recording meeting notes. Fireflies, this is a good tool if you are like, let's say, you've got a sales team and you want to kind of do some more data analysis when it comes to why certain people in your team are doing really well on sales calls and other people are not. It will be able to kind of give a breakdown on what's going on in terms of empathy and also for the customer as well. And Calendly, again, a lot of you are familiar with this. It's good for scheduling. Okay, so the GPT store. This is basically a store where you can find different AI assistants that have been trained to perform a certain function. So one tool that could be useful if you're doing your own ads is meta ads. And likewise, if you're trying to do better research, you could use something called Scholar. And for better AI content, I'll be honest with you, I don't really use ChatGPT to create my own content. I write it all myself. But if you are using AI to create content, then you might want to consider using this humanizer, which you can find in the GPT store. Right, so let's just look at a high-level overview of basically how the sales process goes on when people come to your website, right? So people come to your website maybe because they're looking to get in contact with you, or they're kind of doing a form of a background check. They want to check you out to basically see who you are and if you're worth talking to, right? So in this particular case, the conversion metric on most web traffic ranges between 1% to 3%. And customers tend to follow this journey, right? FAQ, meeting contact, or they go to a contact form. So the advantage for having like an AI chatbot on a website is you can integrate it with your CRM system. And straight away, you're giving something that's interactive. And just by having that interactivity, you're capturing people's attention. And from all the case studies I've looked at, it improves the conversion on your website by 25% on average. And then if you want to get more in-depth with it, you can have it as a lead qualification system. So you can actually start asking straight off through a dialogue kind of. For example, let's say imagine you're a real estate company. So we developed one AI for a real estate company, and it started asking questions like, what is your budget? When are you looking to move? And just by asking those questions, you can already start funneling them if they're a hot lead or a cold lead. And then that's going to save you time internally because you won't be having to follow up with people that were not really necessarily ready to buy now. And equally, people that are ready to buy now, you've got their details, you've got their attention, and you can start a conversation that is already very relevant. Okay, so what are the cool benefits of AI chatbots? So as you might have already gathered, you can save time and money. You can automate certain things that are quite repetitive. And it's a form of a qualification process. Ultimately, this is going to help you generate more leads because you're capturing people's attention. We all know about that rule, which is 8 to 16 touch points. Just by going back and forth with some messages, you've started generating touch points. And you're getting buyer insights to see what people are asking about, which can help you make more strategic business decisions. Okay, so how does it help the marketing side? Marketing and sales very much go hand in hand. And what I've seen work out there, I'll give you a story. So 2 weekends ago, I went to my cousin's engagement party. I won't tell you everything what happened at the engagement party, but I'll tell you the work-related things. So he runs a mortgage company. He's a mortgage broker, and he has started in the recent months to use an SMS AI. So what happens is people come to his website, they fill in the contact form, and then straight away there is an SMS AI that starts sending messages to that lead. And since he's been using this, he's improved his lead conversion from 8% to 10%. Now, that's quite a significant jump when you think of it as a percentage gain. That's over, yeah, maths is a bit rusty, but I think that's over 25%. And he's based on the South Coast, just above Portsmouth. Now, because he's getting more business, he's actually been able to hire 3 more people in his team. So it's really nice to see him do well. And this is a case study of how AI, it can have a positive impact on your business, basically. Okay, another kind of example where it's valuable is for paid ads, right? So in the previous case study, I was talking about contact form. But if you think about it, when you have a Facebook ad, an Instagram ad, people are leaving their information. So it's the same logic that you can develop an SMS system or WhatsApp or even a voice AI to engage contact with that lead immediately. Because in sales, it's well known that for the first 30 minutes after someone has left their information, that's the best time to follow up. Not the next day, not 1 week later. If you've got an ad, it's within half an hour. So you can actually develop, so I would say that this is a value add of where AI can provide rapid follow-up. And as far as I can tell, 9 out of 10 people don't even know it's an AI talking to them, especially if it's over text message. Like, you're going to have no idea. You would probably just consider that's a human talking to you. So this provides value for improving the conversion because you're doing that rapid follow-up. And let's face it, most people work a 9 to 5. They'll probably they'll reply to some advert at, say, 8 p.m. in the evening, and then the next day you would respond to that. So this provides value. Another way for customer service, so we kind of touched on this already, is the website. And I'll go into the case studies shortly. So let's just get onto that. And for supply chain management, so for a lot of like warehouse stuff, e-commerce, dealing with logistics, normally the problem that these industries have is they're using so many different systems. And when you are working in that company as, say, like a data entry person or as an operations person, you're having to constantly go from one software to another. So I would say main value add is going to be automations. So you can use different softwares, ironically, to simplify what might be, say, 6 pieces of software into one kind of clean table and just improve the ability for different softwares to communicate with each other. Another way that you could use it in supply chain management, and again from the internal angle, is you could develop a internal chatbot, and that chatbot has access to your databases. It's kept safe and secure. So in that way, when different people in the team want to ask a question, they can refer to the knowledge that already exists internally. And another value where I've seen it work in logistics is e-commerce. So we developed an AI chatbot for someone's website. They're selling products online. It gave the ability for the customer to find where their order is. And if they wanted to cancel or make amendments to the order, they could basically do that through that AI. So That's a big value add when you think about the time that it takes to respond to customers' queries, because you've automated that process. Right, so these are the case studies. I'm very excited about this part. For the NHS, we're all aware that the NHS is under a huge strain. And this case study, it's actually saved them 15 minutes per patient because they use that as a data collection mechanism. Because if we think about it, when we talk to a clinician, normally they ask a series of questions, which are basically like a checklist. And a lot of those questions can be automated. And I'm sure it's the same thing in a lot of business processes that maybe you operate. That part of the dialogue could be automated. Doesn't mean it has to, but it can. And in this case, it saved them time. It's also helped them screen patients better. So basically, they had 20% of people come to them that shouldn't have even come to their mental health service in the first place. And for the high risk patients, like let's say that these are people, which might be suicidal or whatever, straight away they're actioned, which is obviously better for everyone. And the feedback was that overwhelmingly 98% said it was helpful. Another case study is to do with Klarna. So maybe some of you use this out there when you do purchases. It's basically a form of buy now, pay later. So through their AI chatbots, they were able to do the work equivalent of 700 full-time agents. It also meant that they were able to make a profit for the first time ever, making a profit of $40 million. It did, again, 3/4 of the work, basically. And this is one of the feedbacks that often I see regarding AI chatbots, right? We've all had terrible experiences with banking chatbots. I mean, me included. Even now, they still suck, right? But this kind of fintech company has been able to develop a system that not only is able to service a large workload, but it offers a customer experience which is quick and snappy, right? Going from 11 minutes to 2 minutes. Everybody's time is limited, so why not make it quicker? This is another finance example. So Sanlam, they generated, so they've built this AI coach, okay? So Sanlam, a bit of a background, they're a South African financial services company that mainly offer services related to insurance and wealth management, right? So wealth management, like being a financial advisor, that kind of stuff. So they developed this system that was able to generate 350 clients a day for them. Okay? And basically how it works is it takes people through a kind of quiz. They get their money profile, and at the same time it's tied into people's credit file. So just by having that conversation, it's been able to generate them a lot of business. So this kind of, so this is how I want you all to be thinking, where should I consider adopting AI chatbots, if at all, right? So I'll be honest, if you're a solopreneur and it's just you working and you only have, say, like 20 people coming to your website a month, maybe it's not worth it, right? But if you have quite a lot of traffic coming to your website, because I've seen a few of the people that have signed up to this today, and you operate, some of you, hotels and holiday and other services, right? So for that kind of market, I would say it's going to add value to your business. And if we talk just briefly about voice AI, so this is a system that I wouldn't say is good to replace people for doing outbound calls. But again, like if it's 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, people have finished work, they've gone home and they want to phone their dentist, but the dentist is closed, and then they have to leave a voicemail message for someone to get back to them so they can book an appointment. I think that's a very convoluted experience. And there isn't really any excuse why now with the technology that we've got at our disposal, that you can't basically have an AI that will book someone in for an appointment. Or like, let's say you're operating a pub and it gets busy and you can't take a call at that time and someone wants to book in for tomorrow. Well, you know, if they can't get through, maybe they'll go to another pub and you've lost business. So to be able to capture people's attention and get them into bookings, I think it's so key in customer service. And again, you can have it operating internally or on your website. I don't want to cover it too much. We've already kind of gone over that. And you can have it perform a function which is information discovery, taking notes. And ultimately, this is going to give you more bookings or meetings. So there is that plug and play model that I mentioned before. HubSpot, they offer some form of a chatbot, but it's definitely not AI. It's the old style, so it's not that good. But obviously, I need to be impartial, so you can check out other resources out there. So your high-end systems. So you've kind of got these three names out there. You've got VoiceFlow, BotPress, and Humble. So for these tools, you can build out something that is far more bespoke, it's more secure, and it can perform far more functions in your business. For example, automating tickets, generating leads, or acting as an internal assistant. Now, obviously, you've got two ways of kind of going about this. You either do it yourself, or you find someone out there to do it for you. And again, VoiceFlow, I think, is the best one if you're doing a complex system, including if you want to use a voice integration. It's what we choose to use when we develop these systems for companies, because we're always thinking, how can we develop something that is future-proofed? Humble, this is a great assistant for internal operations. I would say, like, if you want to develop something internally that sits in Microsoft Teams, Slack, then it's very easy to build out an assistant to do those things. And I know the co-founder quite well. His name is Maddie. He's a very nice guy. Similar to the name Humble, they're trying to be humble about how the technology is implemented. And to make sure it's ethical as well. And I think ethics is a big thing, so we'll come on to that later. Right, case study. So this is for ticket automation. So if you're getting a lot of tickets to your website, this is just an example of how it's been able to automate that process. So they were basically able to automate 70% of their tickets, and the 30% is still left for humans. And I know what maybe some of you are thinking that, oh, is this going to replace people? Well, again, the argument I would give is it doesn't replace people per se, but it might replace the people which choose to completely ignore this technology because their businesses might not be able to operate as efficiently. But if we talk about that job role, you've actually done something quite positive. You've been able to automate the tickets which are very repetitive and don't require maybe as much critical thinking. And you've left the more nuanced, higher value tickets for a human to oversee. So if we're just thinking a high level overview, ultimately that should feed into a more productive economy and workers being paid higher wages because you've allowed technology to do the lower value tasks and you've signposted the more critical thinking tasks to people. And I think if our economy did that in general, then we would all be far better off, right? So this is another case study to do with real estate. So they developed an AI assistant. Basically, it saved them an hour per lead for qualifying and multilingual capabilities. So this is where I typically would put it out to people that have that have attended today. Are you currently using chatbots in your business? And what's been your experience with business chatbots? So I'll just see if I've got any questions relating to this. Okay, right. Yeah, so I can see someone sent me a message to say that they have been using one, but they find that it's a little bit basic. Right. Yeah, I mean, look, this is the thing. There are platforms out there which you can get what I call your plug and play chatbots. Some of them they kind of overpromise and then they underdeliver. So if you want something that's more detailed, then you're going to have to work with basically a software development company for them to build you out something that's more customized. Otherwise, the alternative is you could be paying around £75 per employee to go with a company like Salesforce, because Salesforce have introduced this agentic kind of AI system, but it's definitely pricey. So yeah, you might just want to do your research there. And going on to this question, for the experience, again, I would say, I mean, I personally have had a bad experience in the past with banking chatbots. And just very quickly, the reason why banking chatbots are bad is because financial services is a very heavily regulated industry. And as a result, if they want to do any kind of change, it happens very slowly. So the experience that's offered by these systems is bad because change happens slowly. And you, as a small business, have got at your disposal the ability to innovate and make quick changes where the bigger players have to go through so many decision makers and so much regulation. Basically, I'm saying that we as small businesses have an advantage. So let's try to use it. All right. So prompt resources. Um, so I have actually prepared for you something that you can use in your own time. Let me just grab some coffee quick. Yeah, so this, if you scan this QR code, it will give you access to about 30 different prompts. And again, going back to that sales funnel process, you've got top of the funnel, middle funnel, etc. So you can use these prompts if you want to get more value out of you using, say, ChatGPT. So it's something good to have. All right. So if we think about it, the biggest problem today is people's attention. Even for me, right? I'm trying, like on my phone right now, I have set a limitation for how long I can use Instagram a day and Facebook because our attention is so overloaded, right? And so convoluted as well. And we don't really know, well, yeah, we don't really have the time, or we feel we don't have the time to be focused on something. And as a result, the engagement on lots of different mechanisms for sales outreach marketing has dropped drastically. Right? Like you're seeing ads being far less profitable. And I would say it's just because people's attention is all over the place. There's a stat out of the US that the average consumer over there is bombarded with 10,000 impressions a day. So it's no wonder why when attention is limited and you've got this oversaturation of digital media that people are becoming more impatient. And that's why it's so important that we capture it quickly. So this is a startup that I've come into contact with in London. And I think what they're doing is brilliant. So they have a review process. Oh, so sorry, a review software. So basically how it operates, let's see if I can show you a picture of the product. Okay, so this is how the product looks. It's a QR code. that sits on a placard. So I think this is particularly relevant if you operate a brick and mortar business or you have a lot of customers coming in and out. Basically, your customers can scan that QR code and then they come onto this. They have the option of leaving a voice recording that's going to convert the voice into text, or they can type out a review. And basically, how this software adds value for generating reviews is it makes it easier for your customer to post a review to Google, if that's your choice. Second of all, you're going to get reviews that are more detailed. Because a big problem is when people leave reviews, they just tend to go like 4 stars, 5 stars, and they don't write anything because people don't simply know what to write. They're like, oh yeah, the food was good. But okay, if I go to your Italian restaurant and I say, oh, the food was excellent, this ties onto the third thing that's so important in digital space, SEO, search engine optimization, right? So if I go onto Google right now and I search for Italian restaurants near me, then chances are the Italian restaurants near me which have more reviews and have reviews that mention this Italian meal, this spaghetti, whatever was delicious, that's going to show higher up in the ranking. So basically what I'm trying to say here is this software that they've developed helps reviews have SEO words that get you higher in the ranking. It helps you generate a larger volume of reviews. And ultimately that means you're going to be getting more business, right? And if we just go back to 2 slides. So as I said, it helps you get the SEO optimized reviews. You as a business owner have your ability to kind of guide which keywords are going to come up in those reviews. And by the way, I'm not trying to say that these reviews are going to be fraudulent, because before the customer posts that review, they will basically see 3 options, three reviews that they like. And if they don't want to use that AI mechanism to generate like a text blurb, then they can always just do it the manual way, right? So again, that's a big impact. And if the reviews are negative, they have a feature which will allow you to collect that honest feedback so you can act on it. Right, so aside from reviews, which is obviously so important for generating business, we'll now move on to the second part of this presentation today. And what I like about this audience today, you've all been paying attention, and so we can move through this quite quickly. So again, time is precious. So in this section here, we're going to be covering basically how to measure the impact of AI on your business performance, how you can develop an AI strategy for your business, the ethical considerations in AI development, and obviously data security. It's a big thing, so we need to be very thorough on that, and the future trends in AI for businesses. Okay, so the first thing, I'll just give you an example of what happened the other day to me. I had someone book a meeting on LinkedIn. She was running a B2B kind of business when it comes to clothes, particularly selling like yeah, she sells clothes into stores like John Lewis, that kind of thing. And her intentions were very good. She said, I've got in contact with you, Alex, because I want to use AI in my business, and I know how important AI is. And I'm like, okay, great. And I'm like, have you thought about where in your business you want AI to help you with? Like, what kind of challenges and problems do you have? And then that's where she knew straight away. She was like, I could see it flash in her eyes. She said, oh, yeah, I think I need to do some more research on that. So this is the thing. If you want to measure the impact of AI in your business, you first need to go back to what are your KPIs, your key performance indicators. So one, so yeah, if we just quickly go to the next slide. Yeah, so one KPI could be what's your customer acquisition cost, all right? So your customer acquisition cost, if you don't know what that is, it's basically the cost it takes you to acquire a customer. And then ideally you should do it as a calculation compared to your revenue, right? So let's say your revenue per client is, I don't know, £1,000, and then you've spent £100 to acquire them, then your customer acquisition cost is 10%. So if you know that your customer acquisition cost is 10%, then you can start thinking, okay, how could I reduce that? Now, 10%, by the way, is actually a very good customer acquisition cost. So like, let's say if you were 30% or 50%, then you might be thinking, what mechanisms can I introduce to reduce my customer acquisition costs? Or maybe customer acquisition cost isn't a problem in your business. Maybe there's another issue to do with efficiency. You're spending too much time doing administration tasks or responding to questions relating to customer service. So again, you need to first set a very clear, defined numbers, and maybe this is where having a conversation with your accountant or your CFO or finance person will come in handy. And then you're really thinking about three things. How can I make more money? Conversion rates. So I've covered in this presentation some strategies of what you can do for that. Your customer experience, which is reviews, and efficiency. What things can you make more efficient? The second part of developing an AI strategy is there are the quick wins, and then there's the long-term stuff. So a quick win might be, for example, taking some of this information I've said to you today in the presentation regarding how to write a better prompt. So when you use AI for, say, data analysis, you're going to get better results. That's a quick win. But then maybe a longer term win might be thinking, right, we've got these customer service teams. So how can we help our staff operate more efficiently and get the information they need? Then you're really thinking about two things. You've either got automations and different softwares communicating better with each other. So you're investing in that technology, or you're doing something with AI chatbots for either the customer experience or your internal stuff, right? That's a longer term win. And then what's the benefit that this can bring for me? So you need to be thinking, for example, okay, well, if I've got, say, 5,000 people that come to my website every month. Okay, 5,000 might be a bit much. Let's be a bit more humble. Let's say I've got 500, okay? So if I've got 500 people that come to my website and I convert currently, say, I don't know, 5%, which is definitely on the high end. So you're getting 5% of the 500. And then if I bring an AI chatbot onto it, I should be increasing my conversion by 25%. How much business is that going to bring me? And then once you have that number in mind, you can then be thinking about who are the different suppliers that can develop this technology for me. And then you can make a decision about who's best, basically. Right. So that's the kind of thought process that I would go through. And change management is a big thing. So I'll just give you a real life story here. So I spoke to basically the COO of a student accommodation provider. I'm not going to say the company. He was very interested to work with me on AI. He said, "Oh, we all want to do AI here, blah blah blah." And I said, "Okay, great." He seemed very keen for it. When I met his junior sales staff, to my face, they said they were keen for it. But this is where I made a mistake. I didn't fully comprehend at that time because my business was early on just how important stakeholders are in the decision-making process. Because it's not just your senior team that's important, it's also your junior team. Because even if your senior team says we want to do blah, 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 maybe the junior team are concerned that the AI might replace their job. So then they'll kind of give some pushback that derails the change management process. And that's why it's important, just as this kind of photo is showing, to have a conversation, get their feedback about whatever's going on in the operations, and basically get them on board with the change. Explain to them how this is going to have a positive impact. Because if I, so with hindsight, using that story of mine, if I was to go back in time, rather than saying, oh, hey, this chatbot is going to be able to qualify all your leads and do all the sales stuff, which the sales team are going to feel threatened by, I would have approached it in a different way. I would have said, look, in the beginning, we can just do something very basic and simple. We have like a customer service chatbot that can answer people's questions, can take people's information. That's far easier to digest than saying, oh, I'm going to develop a lead qualification chatbot that will be able to qualify your leads and kind of take all the information and see how hot or cold that lead is. Because if you do that, then it's far easier to implement the change. And as soon as we talk about technology and AI, we're talking about change management. So we just need to be upfront and honest about it. Now, there are ethical considerations as well. So, well, there are huge ethical considerations. But you've obviously got bias and discrimination. So if we think about it, a lot of these AI models like ChatGPT, it's being developed in the West Coast of the US. And that's why it comes up with all this, oh, everything's amazing. And then you have like rocket emojis, right? Because in that part of the world, that's their culture and that's how they think. So there is a issue that if you're relying on, say, like for example, ChatGPT to give you answers to things, you're getting it through the filter of the people that have developed this technology, and that's obviously going to give you a bias. And I think a way to kind of overcome this, I'm going to use the analogy of news media, right? You've got news media that's left wing, right wing. So I think how we form a political opinion which is more well-rounded is we, for example, listen to say, oh, not listen, but we read the Guardian because the Guardian is more left-wing, and then maybe you want to consider the Telegraph because it's more right-wing. So I think it's the same thing with AI models. For example, you've got DeepSeek. DeepSeek is a Chinese one. So are you going to rely on DeepSeek to give you answers about what happened in Tiananmen Square? Well, no, right? But would you be able to get an answer from ChatGPT about what happened in Tiananmen Square? Yes. So they all have their different bias because they are a reflection of humanity. Humanity has biases, and the only way to kind of overcome that is to tune into different sources. That's the only way. And for discrimination, that's obviously part of it as well. Now, the second part is job displacement. So as what I've kind of touched already, I don't think that this technology is going to replace humans like with some master AGI. However, when there is this change going on right now, if I use, like, so I'll go back to that case study of my cousin who's a mortgage broker. So he's found a way to generate more business through using an SMS AI system. And now he's hiring 3 more people in his team, one of which is a salesperson. Okay. So I could look at this 2 ways. I could say that part of the sales process has been automated. Of course it has. But at the same time, his company is more profitable, and that's allowed him to hire more people, one of which is a salesperson. So you could look at it through that filter that yes, it will displace some functions of a job, but it's not going to replace all jobs. And really, I don't have any better answer to that without going really off topic. And for privacy concerns, so I will be able to show you a quick solution to that, but it's obviously a big problem. And you've got the impact on human relationships. So maybe some of you are familiar that there was this documentary on Netflix, and it was basically highlighting how, because of these social media platforms such as Facebook, particularly when it comes to politics like the US election, people have become very polarized, right? You've kind of got people that, like for example, if we just talk briefly about, say, yeah, like what happened in the US election, not this election, but the one before, you had people on the left wing that would hate people on the right wing, and hate is a strong word, but it's relevant. And the reason why that they hate that they kind of hated each other is because they didn't have any kind of dialogue between each side. And there is a danger with AI, and I'm not talking about ChatGPT here, but I'm just talking about how how these models work and how they engage us, that they can kind of make us think that we're always right because they put us in a community of people that pat us on the back and say, yeah, you're right. Um, so there's always that ethical consideration, but there is a silver lining here. So Mark Zuckerberg has basically come forward and admitted that they need to change things with how their algorithm works. So I am optimistic that this issue of siloing people and kind of making people go on these extremes is going to have a positive conclusion. Okay, so for AI and data security, this slide, well, yeah, basically this deserved its own slide for good reasons. So I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this already. If it's free, they are using your data. That's basically the cost, okay? If you don't want that, then normally if you pay for things, you have greater security. Don't enter sensitive information. I can't. So I'll give you another story here. So if okay, so like let's say if you're working, I know maybe it doesn't apply to any of you, but like let's say if you're working for some investment bank, and then you start uploading documentation relating to those investments, that AI system will remember what you uploaded. And theoretically, a competitor could come along and request that request information relating to that documentation, and they will get it. All right. So that's a very big concern, but I would say it's more for bigger companies than perhaps smaller businesses. If you don't have any policy regarding how your staff use AI, then you're basically giving the green light that they can use it in whatever way they want. So you should have a policy. Not many people know this. They assume that if they pay for ChatGPT, everything is going to be private. That's not the case. You could just use the free license, and then you can actually send an email to this address, DSAR. I guess that's an acronym for Data Subject Access Request. And you can request it to be kept private. So that way, whatever data you're putting into the AI, including sensitive information, is not going to be used to train the AI model, and yeah, it's kept safe and secure. So that's one example of how to keep things safe and secure, right? Now, future tech. So we're getting near to the end of the presentation today. So let me just have some more coffee. So there's been this announcement, which I think is a little bit suspicious, right? Because we had this stuff with DeepSeek. Okay, so if I try to keep the story short, which maybe I'll fail to do, DeepSeek and the reason why the market is so kind of upset about it is because the US for the last 10 years or more or less has been engaged in the trade war with China, and it's restricted the supply of hardware to China. And that's basically meant that China has been disadvantaged when it's come to developing AI systems. And China, through this company called DeepSeek, has found a way to overcome that hardware limitation through a mathematical solution. I would say this is a triumph for human creativity and genius. It shows that we can't just keep a monopoly on knowledge and expect always to have the advantage. After this happened, and this is why I think it's quite suspicious, OpenAI announced they're doing this system called Operator. Operator allows, so it's right now, it's only in the US, but it will come to the UK in the next month. It can take control of your screen. You can instruct it to, for example, book flights, do your shopping, and do different tasks like that. I don't think that that adds any. I'm just being critical. I don't think that that adds any real value, right? I feel like it's a bit of a marketing gimmick by them because they need to appease their shareholders. However, I do think there's going to be a positive outcome from this eventually, which is, let's say that you're a small business owner, and then you want to change something about your website, and you don't know anything about coding. In the not so distant future, I see the ability that you as a business owner can instruct this AI to do different designs on your website. And I know what maybe some people are thinking here. This is displacing jobs. To a degree, yes, it is. But it's also giving the ability that if you are that business owner and you've got that creativity and you've got that genius, you can get many different designs. That's just one function of where I think that this can have an impact, and we obviously need to see how this technology develops. But I would say it's got major issues because it's expensive to operate. So yeah, maybe not going to be useful anytime soon, but in the future it will. And yeah, that's kind of my feelings. I'm like this kid. I'm like, well, you know, the value is questionable right now, but in the future, it's going to have a massive impact for web developers, software developers, because a lot of the tasks that were traditionally done manually will have an element of automation to them. Right. So agentic AI. This is something that's being thrown around more. I would say it's already being done. You will have some big companies out there that will say, "Oh yeah, we're not. There is no agentic AI right now." The reason they say that is because they haven't found a way to monetize it and make it a scalable process in their business. But me, as a software developer and as a co-founder of a tech company, I can tell you that this technology is already available and it's already being done. And you might be thinking, well, what is agentic AI? So it's basically the ability for kind of like an AI chatbot to be trained on different workflows, to be processing different information by being connected to different softwares. And it's also the ability for that AI to be talking to another AI and then pass that information back to each other and then come up with some kind of resolution. So it's like having a digital workforce. And again, I would say it's not about replacing people entirely, but it will allow you to get more out of your existing staff by by getting them to focus on the higher value tasks. And Andrew Ning, so he is one of the biggest players out there when it comes to AI. So he sits on a company called Sequoia. Sequoia owns 25% of, well, it's invested in 25% of the companies that are listed on the NASDAQ. And the NASDAQ is basically the tech index of the United States, or arguably the world. So if you think about Google, Facebook, etc., that's all part of the NASDAQ. And Sequoia has been a investor in those companies. So if he sits on the board and he says something's likely going to happen, then he's probably correct. He thinks, again, what I said already, that these AI agents will communicate with each other and they'll operate in complex workflows. So for Ginny, she's the former CEO of IBM. She believes that they will outnumber customer service reps, allowing the humans to focus on higher value tasks. And for Mark Zuckerberg, not sure why his picture's not showing up. So he thinks that there will be more AI agents than people. And there's a video as well of him talking about that. And of course, myself. So I wanted to put my own opinion on this. So I feel that these big tech companies, such as Microsoft, Google, etc., they will continue to integrate AI into their existing products. Because, for example, like Microsoft have got Microsoft 365, Microsoft Office, which is part of that. Originally, they were selling Microsoft Copilot as a separate service, and basically, it didn't do very well. Like they didn't make that many sales on it, and the sales that they did, people were kind of disappointed. So now what they've done, which is a little bit sneaky, is they've decided to integrate that product into the Microsoft 365. And now I could be slightly wrong on that. If you are Microsoft consultants out there, I apologize. But that's my understanding of what they're doing strategically. And if we think about it, these big companies, they've got access to a lot of data. So it's only inevitable that they will use that to improve these AI systems, and they will incorporate that into their products rather than as a standalone function. One of the things that I do like to celebrate from this DeepSeek thing, I don't see it as China versus the US. I see it, I see it more as a victory of human creativity and intellect. And it also opens the door that there is no one company that has a monopoly on basically delivering this knowledge. And I see a world where you've got smaller businesses that will be able to purchase that AI client. They will be able to download it. They'll be able to host it in a safe and secure fashion without having to pay lots of money every month in service costs. So this opens the door for the technology being far more scalable and cost efficient. I think that the voice AI is going to be a major disruptor. So before this DeepSeek stuff, it used to cost anywhere between $3 to $6 an hour to host that voice AI technology. Now it's likely going to come down to $1 or $3. That's going to be a huge disruption to call centers. And the kind of paradigm for me that the Pandora's box that it opens up is it used to be thought that this technology would only be a disruptor to developed economies, such as, in the West, America, Japan, Korea, etc. But because the cost has come down so much, then the barrier to entry of cost isn't a valid argument anymore. And what that means is for developing economies in the Far East, they're going to be impacted by this as well. Ultimately, this is a catalyst for change, and it does provide business owners with a choice. I'm going to put it very bluntly, but I think there's um, kind of three columns that people will inevitably put themselves under. There will be those people which find a way to incorporate this technology, and then they can have a tool, because ultimately this is a tool. They'll have a tool at their disposal to grow and operate their business more efficiently over their competitors. And as a consequence, they will not only survive, but they will thrive. There will be the cohort of people which will just put their head in the sand and think that this is some kind of fad, that this will blow over, and that's going to impact them later down the line because their competitors are going to be operating more efficiently. And then there will be a cohort of people, I haven't seen it yet, but for example, I go to Co-op, I buy fair trade chocolate. I know it costs me more money, but I do it because it's going to have a positive impact on people on the other side of the world to have a better quality of life. That's my choice. It costs more money. I think there might be a cohort. This is a kind of projection I'm making here, where businesses might come together and they'll be like, we don't use any AI. We only use people. This is what we do. Yeah, it could happen. Very likely. And lastly, it will never replace creativity or genius. Because going back to what I said at the beginning of this presentation, human consciousness is unique. It cannot be fully explained. And there is a quantum level. Quantum just basically means very small. So on the very small level, ideas come into existence out of nowhere. This isn't something that can fully be explained, and computers do not have that ability. So therefore, it's impossible to say that AI will replace humans. And that's pretty much the end of the presentation today. So pat yourselves on the back for listening to me blabber on for the last hour or so. We've actually finished a bit early, which is good. And you're now part of the 22% of small businesses which understand how to integrate AI. So congratulations, you've got an advantage. If you wish to have further contact with me, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or send me an email. I'll try to help you where I can. Otherwise, thank you so much, and I appreciate Solent Business also being here to be able to provide this platform to help small businesses. I think it's so important, as well as a digital boost for giving this collaboration. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alex. That was so interesting. There's a huge amount of information in there that we can all go away and have a good think about. And I think it's going to be really useful to be able to come back to bits of that as well in people's own time to really think about how these types of applications could have a positive impact on their business. And I think particularly pertinent for me was that sort of final thoughts slide that you shared around, the different categories that people might fall into. And I think,
Mm.
no small business who's running a busy day-to-day operation can be expected to not feel overwhelmed by all the possibilities of AI. You don't have to be an expert in everything straight away. This is going to be a journey for all businesses to gain confidence and to make sure that they feel they have all of the knowledge and the skills to utilize AI in an effective way. But I think what everything you've said really tells us is that you can't really afford as a small business owner to be in that category of burying your head in the sand altogether, because not everyone is going to take that tact, and you will be putting yourself at a disadvantage if your competitors are finding these these efficiencies, and this opens up the door for them to increase productivity and to climb up to a more sort of powerful position in your marketplace. So hopefully, everyone, find this insightful, and I just also wanted to take this opportunity to remind everyone that we do have our online portal where this has been recorded, and the recording for this session will be shared on the portal, so you can access that at any time. And you can also use that portal to access mentors who can help you to really dig down into the detail of how some of these applications might be able to be used for your business. Alex, you are one of the mentors on that portal. So I know that there are clearly people that are available to you to book in some one-to-one time, um, who really know their stuff and who are really passionate about supporting small businesses to increase their knowledge and their confidence in these areas. So thank you so much again, Alex, and
Yeah, no problem.
thank you for those who were able to join live, and thank you to anyone watching this recorded as well. Really hope you found this valuable, and take care, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.